Computer is glitching out.
Rough
Listen
start.
to that, folks.
That's a smooth sound
That's
right there.
when, things were supposed to be good, and then they just weren't. Whoa, my phone's like live in here. Guys, we're just all kinds of messed up today. We're back. This is Testing Normal, episode... Nine-ish.
Nine-ish.
Yeah, 9. It is 9. Yeah, I'm Jordan.
And I'm Curtis. And this is a podcast where we talk about anything and everything.
Yep.
And today is a very special day. We have a fantastic guest on, Sarah Andresen. Andresen in the...
That's exactly how it's pronounced.
In the... the God-given last name would not be Andresen. It would be Nagel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, super special guest. We're excited to have you on. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
First woman that volunteered, threw their hat in the ring. Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. A couple other women have tossed the idea around, but you're the first one to be like,
she poked
I'm
fun
on.
enough that I poked back. Yeah. It's like you gotta show up.
So, Sarah, by trade, is a pediatric psych nurse.
Correct.
And takes care of kids and their complicated minds, which is pretty amazing and challenging job. How long have you been involved in the old pediatric world?
Since I graduated, 2012, so 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Good math.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Good math. Yeah.
I did that ahead of time
carried
so
the
that I
two.
knew
That's good.
what I
You don't
was
have to
gonna
admit those
say.
things.
Carried the two.
You can just be like, yeah.
So, pediatric psych nurse, been doing it for 7 years.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Are you working in like a hospital? Or are you working in a smaller, psych facility? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a residential treatment facility. We have about 60 kids.
Okay.
And they live there.
Wow. Okay.
For as long as their stay lasts. Sometimes it's only a couple months. Sometimes it's a couple years.
Up to how old?
18.
18.
Yep.
Okay. That's when they're done.
Yep.
Interesting.
Too old.
Usually 12 to 18 is how
Okay.
old the kids are.
Now, this facility that you're working at, I've been curious about this a little bit with psychiatric care for pediatrics. Is it a facility where is it more private, like parents who have insurance and can pay out of pocket then send their kids to the facility, or is it more like the state says, hey, this is too complicated of a situation, you need our support, so we're gonna be state run, we're gonna pay for this? But is that what's most common?
Both. It is nonprofit, so we take private insurance.
Okay.
Also, DHS,
Okay.
OHP.
Okay, gotcha.
So some kids are court ordered to be there.
Oh, okay.
Some of it's a choice. So, yeah.
Are you? It would seem like there's a lot of potential for children to have psychiatric issues in this day and age.
Yeah, no kidding.
Are you like always full?
Yeah.
This facility?
Oh yeah.
Is there enough facilities or does it seem like every day you're like, no, we can't accept this kid because we're full? Like, does it seem
There's definitely a shortage.
Yeah.
And some facilities have even closed recently.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean,
there's a need
for various reasons.
Yeah, there's
slave labor wasn't working. Someone, I guess.
Yeah, you have to meet certain requirements, and there aren't always people willing to do that. There aren't a lot of peds psychologists, things like that, enough people to run facilities like that. So
okay.
What would, and maybe you can or can't answer this, but what would someone have to do to either be court ordered to go there or just go there? Like, I'm assuming it's not just like, well, this kid has problems and you send them there just because you think they have problems. There's probably something that has to happen, right?
they often, most always will have a long history of things going on. They have a team that's worked with them for a long time, and it just depends on how intense their behaviors are getting in the community.
Gotcha. So it's definitely not like the first thing in the step.
Right. Yeah, we're the highest level of care in the state.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Highest level of care, meaning like you have the most psychiatric demanding patients, like complicated?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah, and we have therapists and med management. So they're getting a lot of treatment there. So
okay. Wow.
It's not an outpatient, like they don't come and go. They're there.
Now that's their house.
Is it still a thing for shock therapy? Is that? I think it is still a thing.
You're still on the hunt to find someone that will give that to you.
I know. I see the benefits. No. One time I was vacuuming. I went to plug it in.
And you felt so much better.
I felt so much better after I got shocked.
You're like, man, I've
been chasing that.
I broke like 3 habits. I quit smoking that day.
Yeah.
And
I've been chasing that sting ever since.
Yeah.
You know? No, but do you guys routinely shock your patients?
We sure don't, actually. Hard pass.
Hard pass on
hard
that.
pass, yeah.
Okay.
That's something I actually don't want to talk about.
Technically, I'm not supposed to bring that subject up. Okay, so no shocking.
Mm-mm.
No shocking as of yet.
No.
Okay. Now, does it seem like if a parent had a child that was like, man, I just really feel like my kid is just struggling, but they haven't had like a court order to be in some type of rehabilitation, can a parent take the kid to your facility and say, hey, I think my kid is really challenged. Would you be willing to let my kid stay here if I pay for it out of pocket?
I think that we wouldn't.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Like if I wanted to go
away
for extended
like if
weekend.
I needed a vacation just for a couple weeks. Just thinking here.
These two fight a lot.
Yeah.
Could you deal with them?
Does it have to be like you probably have to have some psychiatrist that would admit them?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
And I think it would be rare that we'd have an opening that we would take somebody like that. But if somebody was like, hey, we'll pay you.
Yeah.
It would be like,
that
okay.
That hasn't happened yet. But hey, since you have money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So your role, what do you find yourself doing mostly in that facility?
The nurses there, we pass meds, we work with the doctors, implement orders, we assess a lot of incidents, self-harm, making sure the kids stay safe.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's our main job.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming there's someone 24 hours a day, like as far as nurse on facility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And does it seem like what is the most common age group that you have in your facility? Like, is it usually like you find yourself like, it's crazy. Most of our kids are middle schoolers, or most of them are high schoolers. So does it seem like you have does it fluctuate, or is it?
It seems pretty even. We have 5 units, and we keep the kids somewhat separated by age. So the younger kids in certain buildings, and the older kids in
so that'd
others.
be kind of 12 is pretty vast difference from 18.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do they ever like get to leave and go like field trips and stuff like that, or do they have to stay on campus?
Yep. A lot of the kids have privileges to leave and go on outings. We try to get things going like library, pool trips,
nice.
hikes. And then one thing that they love to do is go to the pet store. And
what? Really?
It's kind of like unofficial animal therapy.
Yeah.
They get a lot.
That's actually a really good point.
Positive vibes from petting animals, seeing cute little things.
Have you had an incident where somehow a pet went missing?
No.
No?
Or a pet showed up.
We're at the facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't have a hamster.
There wasn't
when
an
you checked
emu in this room before.
Yeah, I don't think Petco
emu.
I'm not certain that they work in.
They're not well known for their
an
emu population.
No, I don't like how you say that either.
Emu. How would you say it?
Not like that.
Well, what do you say it?
Emu.
Emu?
Yeah.
No.
Emu.
Emu.
Not
emu.
Emu.
Not emu.
It's not a cow.
It's not a cat either.
Emu.
Nope.
Emu.
Still not there.
It's not an emu.
Yeah. 90 minutes in, we're still trying to do. Whoa, what was that?
Dude, it's definitely not an emu. Someone out there, send us a message. Let us know if it's emu or emu. Because this is going to be something's going to keep me up tonight.
Definitely the heated debate.
We do have equine therapy on campus. So they work with horses.
On campus, huh?
Horse therapy.
Okay, that's cool.
We have 2 cats
Interesting.
that live in the barn.
You have a barn, okay. Obviously, if you have horses.
Yeah. We have a bobcat that likes to wander around.
Wow.
Like a wild one, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Dangerous.
Keeps the kids in line.
A lot of the therapists and other people who work there have dogs that are therapy certified, and they bring them to work. So there are a lot of animals around.
I meet a lot of people in Safeway that say they have therapy dogs. They're really just dogs they want to bring into Safeway.
That's kind of a frustrating thing for me when I see
gross.
people with So in hospital settings, sometimes in certain hospital settings, like they say they don't want you wearing perfume, or they don't want you wearing certain things that could throw off a regular fragrance that someone might have a reaction to.
So you had to stop wearing your perfume.
So I had to stop wearing my Chanel number 5, which is very frustrating. But
you paid a lot for that.
Paid a lot for that,
smell really
sir.
good.
Excuse me. It's the only thing that can mask my natural.
Oh, because you don't shower.
Yeah. Well, at least not with soap. But
you don't want to wash off the good bacteria.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But then then these facilities then say, well, but we are tolerant to emotional service animals, so we can bring in, whatever, dogs, cats, llamas, whatever it is. And they're like, yeah, you think people aren't going to have a reaction to this animal fragrance or dandruff, which people obviously do have reactions to.
Right.
So that's seems a little kind of silly to me sometimes, that whole bias.
So we can go back to asking her questions about what she does too, but I'm just curious, like, because you see this age group, something that we've talked about the last 2 episodes was the age for voting lowering to 16. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I kind of like what Curtis thinks about this.
Just up it to 25.
Yeah,
or 40.
No, the argument is compelling that you can't do all those other things.
That's
right.
True.
There's so many things that you're not allowed to do until you're 25, essentially. That it's baffling that you can actually instead vote on a subject that may be not life threatening, but life determining.
I was listening to something the other day that was odd. It was talking about how we change the age of things that you can do things at, and how it takes a while for a society to catch up. And I was like, really? Does it? But their example was the automobile. And like when they first came out, like kids would drive them and stuff. I mean, if they had them, but there wasn't like a licensing or an age restriction or anything like that. So they did that. But now
they also didn't have seatbelts, and
the cars also only went like 25
That's
miles
a good point. Yeah, they went 25 miles per hour.
So there's a lot of things that did change, but it was interesting thinking about society and how we take a while to get there. And it was in the context of like movies and violent video games and stuff like that, how there isn't a lot of age restrictions on some of those things, and how maybe there should be, but we just haven't gotten there yet as a society.
Interesting.
And how it's affecting them. And now we're talking about lowering the age for voting, and it seemed like it was for various reasons. The reason I brought it up is a friend of mine sent me an article that was like 16-year-olds giving reasons, like things that they did at 16 as an example of why they shouldn't vote.
Ooh, interesting.
And it's
what is it?
Funny. I have to pull up and read some of them.
Okay. I'm trying to find this article.
You were going to say something about the voting though. As I was getting
into
I just was a very different person when I started voting versus how
18 to now.
I am now, and
oh my gosh,
things I vote on and what things I care about. And I changed a lot when I went to college, and that's just
after college,
a crazy
right?
formative time. Yes, and afterwards. But I wonder if that happens like both ways. So if somebody starts out like being raised really conservative,
that's an interesting
and they, like,
point.
Go
that's
this
actually
way,
a really good point.
and somebody starts out being raised really liberal, and then they go this way.
Kind of
and does it kind of even
level it out?
Like if you're 16 and who's going to really influence you to vote? Probably your parents.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to vote along with them. So and we're so polarized right now.
Well, your parents or what you see on Facebook
or on
Instagram.
Well, that's true.
That's where a lot of influence is coming from now, is what kids see on social media. And honestly, to be real, not just kids, like adults. Mm-hmm. Majority of adults that I encounter, it seems like whenever they have an opinion about something, most of their opinions come from a comment that they saw from someone else's Facebook post.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing, is the impressionability. Here's a couple of things that people wrote. They're talking about when they were 16 and why they wouldn't have been a good voter. So this is how random they are. When I was 16, my friends and I bought a live lobster, put it on a leash, and walked it around the neighborhood at 2 a.m.
What?
It's like that's just an example of the personality we're dealing.
Don't lobsters breathe underwater?
there's a lot of things wrong with what they did.
No, I'm just saying.
And a lot of things not thought out. Here's another one. When I was 16, I sucked a drinking glass to my face for 10 minutes and gave my lower face a giant hickey that took 3 weeks to heal.
Oh my gosh. Dude, yeah, that's a real thing.
When I was 16, I dropped a mixtape called Box of Biscuits. Yeah, it just goes. Here's one I was looking for. It's already 16 here in Brazil. See how well that's going.
Oh,
I was like, oh, you just stopped scrolling there.
Oh yeah.
Who's tried it? Oh, right.
Yeah, Brazil's going through some hot stuff right now. Isn't their president get impeached essentially in Brazil?
I don't remember.
Right?
I have no idea. When I was 16, I wore parachute pants.
That's true. I think most of us.
Yeah, it goes on. It's just on and on and on of these different examples. I thought of that with the whole. That's in the dead center almost of the age group that is in there for that kind of stuff.
Issues.
And, for all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just like, oh yeah, and not to say that there aren't adults. Maybe there should be some competency test or something like that to vote.
Do you think the trending would change if people could vote at 16, or do you think it would just be more like how do you think it would?
I think they're more impressionable. They listen to they would a lot of times they make their decisions based on just a post they saw on social media, and a lot of times it comes from someone that's influential in their life, which would be a celebrity or something like that. And so yeah, I think you would see it sway whatever way those celebrities were going, which I think it sounds like is the tactic, but no one's going to come out and say that that's what it is, right or wrong. It just sounds kind of weird to like start giving that kind of say to those people. Like we already talked about, like the drinking, and like you can't, in the states where it's legal, you can't buy marijuana till you're 21. Like, why all of a sudden that? Like, there's no other logical reason except for, I think that they could see that it would sway. They're just really impressionable.
I just think that there's like so much extremism on both sides. I feel
it feels like that. It feels like that, but is that actually true? Like,
what do you mean extremism? Like, where?
Like as far as political views,
like
is that what you're saying?
Like on social media.
Social
there's
media,
going to be as many.
It depends on who you follow, and that's the thing on social media.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a balanced view,
right?
And so we have things like Facebook is blocking certain hashtags and stuff like that for whether you believe in them or not, like anti-vaxxers, and it's seeming like Twitter is trending in the area of getting rid of a lot of conservative viewpoints and blocking a lot of those, but leaving liberal viewpoints up. And so you give a lot of power then to social media in that sense. Even this week, I think it's Instagram has started blocking conspiracy theory hashtags and anti-vax hashtags, because everyone has kind of gotten either kicked out of or run out of the other social platforms. So they're going to Instagram, which to me is an interesting platform to try to do that with. It's like, look at my picture. Now watch this really short video and convince people that quick. But that's, those people are out there and they're going to continue to try to do it how they can. But
dude, so this kind of brings me into an interesting topic. I saw a cool study, and it analyzed, so it looked at certain phrases that were mentioned in news articles from 100 years ago, and from
someone commented, and it took me a second to figure it out, but it's someone who knows you, and said, "Is that a spider on the wall behind Sarah?" There's no spider.
No, there's no spider.
Yeah,
no spider.
They can't see.
I'll be over here sweating. So,
Gotcha.
Was it my brother?
Okay.
No, it was not. It was Brian.
I know who it is now.
Yeah.
So 100 years ago.
Yeah.
100 years ago.
I was not here.
They looked at questions people had been asked from news articles and different studies, and it was kind of a qualitative study where they just looked at a bunch of different things and put it together.
Is this an article that you have?
Mm-hmm, yeah, but it's not coming up. I tried to pull it up on your end through our notes area, and it wouldn't. But I found it in another way on mine.
I'll try to find it.
Okay. So over the past 100 years, it's interesting to see where
the social values one.
Yeah.
Okay.
See if it come up on yours. So about 100 years ago, values such as like care, compassion, safety, those things are more important to us now than what they used to be like 100 years ago.
Care, compassion, and safety?
Yeah. Like they found out that today, in today's society, socially wise.
For other people.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, just in general, for other people and for ourselves.
Do you think maybe that's because we can, like, see it?
Maybe. I mean,
it was a little hard to communicate back
maybe
then.
we're
100 years ago.
Safety in the respect that like we're like, oh my God, you have to wear a seatbelt, or you have to do all these certain things.
Legislating safety.
Yeah, like we're very prominent on that.
If you're gonna jump out of a plane, you need
compassion
to wear a
in the respect that like, you know, like, and this is very broad, but compassion I guess would be like, not that we don't have racism, but we're more sensitive to it, so we're more compassionate in that respect. And care, like we have care towards elderly, care. All these programs care towards, you know, mothers without, you know, WIC or whatever those sort of things, programs are. Mm-hmm. But then the importance
that
of
might just have to do with communication. Like that would be interesting to delve into.
But then the importance of respecting authority has fallen significantly.
I think we could see that.
Yeah, that's like, fallen significantly.
I don't think that would be shocking to anybody.
But what's interesting, judging right and wrong based on loyalty to a country and family has steadily risen.
What?
Doesn't that seem kind of like a mind twist? So
yeah,
judging right and wrong based on your loyalty. So that's tribal mentality, though, right?
What does that look like here? Because I mean, there's a lot of people, it's not like a secret, that really don't like Trump. Okay. So is there loyalty to their country? Is that loyalty to their country, or they're talking about?
It says loyalty to your country and family has steadily risen. So if you were in a family that was conservative and that family has a strong conservative or Trump backing, and they would naturally support that based on what their family believes, not necessarily based on what they've thought outside of their own political views or what they feel like is right and wrong. But it's just like, that's what my family is, so that's what I'm supporting. But that's interesting that that's higher than what it was 100 years ago.
I could see that though, because it's hard if you look at what people are doing now. Because if you like go look at a rally or something like that, people seem very angry and they get really angry at each other for various weird reasons. But they're doing it in the name of, I want to make this country a better place to live, and they want a better environment and stuff like that. So there's people that are on those platforms, probably a lot more than back then. Maybe because we have more time, because we're not just like out and plowing.
We're not plowing. God, there has to be so many different moral and social viewpoints that we have now, simply by the fact that
we have time.
We have time, and we have less threats to our health and well-being.
Yeah.
In the respect of, I'm not, if I cut my arm, I'm not 50% sure that I might die from that cut, because I'm going to get an infection.
Yeah.
You know, like that, the ability to have convenience and luxury allows for much more mental thought process, but also some more mental strain and stress too, in a way of like,
well, it's because you can't shut that off. Like a lot of that going on, like they talk about, like notifications set off some of the same stuff that, like, you know, being attacked or something like that do when you're constantly being barraged with notifications on your phone. So you're still getting those signals and stuff. So there's a lot of those stresses that are still there. They're just there in different weird ways at, 24/7 instead of like letting you sleep and stuff. But I heard it explained once that like we are able to like think about and do these things because there's been so many time-saving things that have been, like, even though they're not healthy, if you think about it, if you're on your way to go be like hang out with a group of people and say like watch a sporting event or something like that, you can literally bump in like 5 to 10 minutes extra time and stop and pick up a meal's worth of food and take it with you instead of having to like prepare it all day or something like that. Like,
interesting
that when you start to think of the world in that way, like if you couldn't do that, how would your life change? If you couldn't just go to the grocery store, how would your life change tomorrow?
That's cool. So. Yeah, seriously. So on the same study, they analyzed common words that we used, and it was really interesting to see how some of these common words have become more or less important. So like in 1900s, one of the most important words that they had was purity, that they for prominence as far as moral foundation.
Right.
So purity was like the number one most important word that they used in terms of moral foundations. Purity and morality. Those were like the top of the top.
Is it the word now feelings?
So that's a good point. Interesting. Today, the top one is actually harm. So like saying like no harm.
Oh yeah, that's feelings. Because it's not harm to body, it's harm to feelings.
So no harm is the top one today, and then another one. I haven't really looked at the definition of this. In-group morality. In-group, and I haven't even.
What does that mean?
It's reflected in-group morality is reflected in the communal language and loyalty and unity of insiders and outsiders.
So like say you were like you had some sexual orientation or something like that. Like that group of people like has their own.
So it's saying it's using the elevation of words such as us and them. Us morality.
So you're separating yourself.
Well, or you're including, like it's in group, like you're including people into your group.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, in grouping.
That's confusing.
And then words that have kind of stayed about the same. The two that stayed the same was fairness and authority. Fairness and authority were used about the same 1900 years ago as they were today.
Really?
Yeah, fairness and authority. Fairness was actually.
Even with authority drop,
it's almost exactly the same. Fairness was almost exactly the same in 1900s as it was today. The word fairness.
I don't know if that's comforting or scary.
I don't know.
Well, I guess it would depend on the connotation.
Yeah, I feel like it's fair. I feel like it's fair for it not to change as much. I feel like it sounds about right.
That is ironic that fair is the one word that gets the same rating.
That's so perfect.
Yeah, it's like I kind of maybe I don't believe this study now. That's too ironic.
I like it.
That's funny.
I like that.
What else you got,
dude? So, nothing like super crazy, but I was reading this article from the Washington University, and the Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis, that is. Okay. And it was an interesting study. It was talking about women's brains and how they did a really cool study. And they took...
We brought you here just to talk about this.
Yeah. They took people in their 60s, but then they took mostly a large group, about 120 people of...
Is this the one?
Men. Yeah.
It's weird that there's a guy prominently in the picture.
Well, they took men and women.
I know. I'm just.
It was men doing the study. Come on, Jordan.
Yeah, of course. Well, it has to be because they've got to make the decisions.
Yeah.
And
I joke. People,
most of them were 84-year-old men.
You're freaking out right now.
And
I'm just joking.
82-year-old women.
60-year-old and 82-year-old.
84-year-old men is what the majority of them were.
So they're doing.
Oh no, sorry.
Elderly.
I'm way off here. No, they okay. So they took 121 women and 84 men. And they were varying in age, but when the ages matched up, the women were on average, as far as their brain, they could see like decay and regression of the size of the mass of the brain. And usually the women were approximately 2 to 3 years less decay than what men had across the board. And it actually didn't matter the age either. They started with the elderly population. They're like, well, let's see, because it's easier to see brain deterioration in elderly.
Right.
But they decided, well, let's see if this looks the same when we go down to 50. And then they went down to like 20 and 30.
Same thing.
They saw the same freaking thing.
Do you think it's because like guys just like smack their heads on things a lot?
Well, yeah, that's that brain trauma.
I mean,
CTE.
most of the time, like that's the cool thing to do is just like whatever I can do to just like test my body's ability to keep me alive.
Yeah, I think that they're
from a like being born. That's like the whole goal of the male.
I think there certainly could be a degenerative aspect from trauma, but I think that it may be. I'm curious about this.
Yeah. Aren't you glad you don't have any sons?
Yeah.
I've got a theory.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And I didn't see this in the study, but I just was kind of rumbling around in the old deteriorating noggin here.
Yeah. Clearly
Don't worry, I'm a couple years ahead of you guys, so I've got this.
Yeah. If you think we're off, let us know. We'll go with that.
But I was thinking about this. So I'm almost always, and this doesn't apply to every male and female, but it seems like majority of the time men are hotter than women. Like just their body metabolism.
Whoa.
I was like,
whoa.
Body temperature.
Hold on a second.
What?
Body temperature. Not always.
Yeah.
Definitely not always. but in many circumstances, warmer.
There we go.
Their body temperature. Okay, so it seems like, and this
that's
is
when Sarah
true.
left the podcast.
This is true. In many cases, a man's metabolism, not every situation, but in several situations, generally speaking, the man's metabolism sometimes is working faster. And so I think there's a factor to the combination of higher metabolism and utilization of different just cells in your body that those cells wear out faster, maybe because your body's going at a faster speed.
Yeah.
Kind of like the study. Okay, I don't know if anybody out there, if you guys have heard this. This is a cool factoid. So, like, if you look
at the segment we like to call Curtis Facts.
If you look at a mouse, a German Shepherd, and an elephant, okay, or to say a lion, a mouse, a lion, and an elephant.
Much different colors.
Those three go really well together because
you wouldn't know.
In stories. Yeah. Touche. Colorblind Jordan. Badoom. So if you look at those three mammals, a mouse's heart beats super fast. Like, I think it's like 180 or 200 beats per minute. Too. Yeah, really fast. And then dog beats faster than elephants. An elephant's actually is like really slow. I think it's like maybe, can you look it up for me? It's like 40 beats per minute or something like that.
A dog heartbeat?
No, elephant.
Elephant. Oh,
it's pretty slow.
I'll look it up.
But if you look at those three animals, a mouse lives maybe a year or two, not very long. Dog, 7 to 17 years. Elephant, like 60 years or something along those lines. In those three animals, all of those animals.
Wait. Never mind.
Their hearts have an average altogether, same number of heartbeats.
Whoa.
So the mouse lives much shorter lifespan, but the heart beats about the same amount of time as an elephant.
About 30 times per minute.
So I was pretty close.
Yeah.
I was pretty close.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but the elephant lives much, much longer lifespan. So if you average those heartbeats out, an elephant, a dog,
cardio people.
and a human, mammals-wise, they have the same average heartbeat, which is a really cool thought.
That is really cool.
Isn't that crazy? So that all to be said, I don't know what that has to do. What was I talking about?
With anything?
Well,
you were talking about
men faster,
burning
up, metabolism goes faster, just like a mouse.
So
burns up things faster, but they die faster too.
An elephant heart, on average, is between 26 and 46 pounds.
Whoa.
That's a healthy heart right there.
Yeah.
That's a healthy heart. That's well, I mean, that's a child. That's a 5-year-old.
My entire torso. Like,
yeah, it's a 5 or 6-year-old right there.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Elephants are crazy.
Elephants are cool, man.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Okay, here's a question.
Then Lance Armstrong's going to live for a long time.
Okay.
Because his heart rate is like
50.
Except he has cancer.
But
true.
But he had cancer.
And
he
also
did have cancer.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Does the fact, this is what I've wondered. I heard this Asian cardiologist say this one time. Or Chinese cardiologist, same thing.
We're just going to offend everyone today.
But he was saying like, I don't really push for exercising because eventually he was kind of referencing this concept of like you only get a certain number of heartbeats.
Right, yeah.
You work out really hard, your heart beats, eventually it's going to give out.
You just cut years off your life. Yeah,
you just cut years off your life. I mean, if you had a way of, here's the thought, if you had a way of really cleaning out all of your arteries, all of your veins from plaque, a really efficient way of doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That might be an idea.
I think that somebody who is sedentary is going to die sooner.
Yeah, I do agree. and that's just the heart is the argument for that.
Sarah sent me a link.
Ooh, what do you got, Sarah?
She said this is the only interesting thing that I read all week.
All week. That's all I got.
All right.
On
one thing.
I'm sure you saw some good Facebook posts.
And it's about, how do you even pronounce this? Misophonia?
Yeah.
It's a this thing that when life's noises drive you insane. And this picture actually drives me insane. Look at that.
Ooh, I like that.
Kind of.
Let's go full screen on that. It's a little trippy, a little psychedelic.
Look at that. Yeah.
All right.
So tell us about this.
So if your eardrums maybe feel like what that picture looks like. I just thought it was interesting because I feel like I have auditory sensory problems.
Like to what? Like what bothers you?
Well, it's not anything like, so this article is specifically saying that mouth noises are what bother people the most.
Well, that's weird because isn't there like this new trend where, what's it called, where people make sounds with their mouths and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah.
Like channels and stuff.
Oh, that is a thing.
And make what?
They make like noises, like they'll chew certain things, or
like into the mic they go,
or they'll make sounds like that, and people will go and listen to them. And I can't remember what it's called now.
It's an acronym.
It's got a weird acronym,
or...
but because of it became crazy, and then Patreon started dropping some of these people, and YouTube started kicking them because they said that it was like sexual,
erotic,
like that, and erotic. But nobody was doing anything. Like they were making odd, creepy sounds, but they weren't.
They were just talking into the mic, or like they would slowly like talk like this.
Yeah.
Then they would
get
a little candy wrapper and open the candy wrapper.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a.
I'm gonna brush my
Which
hair.
I'm gonna say that would drive me nuts.
Yeah.
So maybe I have this too.
So
I feel like it says it's not. It says it's rare, and I was like, I don't think that's possible.
I know
because, and we're talking about what's normal and testing normal. I think more people have misophonia than don't. Maybe not to a debilitating level, but nobody likes. Most people don't like to hear someone chew.
That's true.
Maybe
very true.
But there are whole cultures that do.
Wait. What do you mean? There's whole cultures that enjoy hearing other people chew?
There's whole cultures where that's the polite thing to do, is to be loud.
With chewing?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like slurping your noodles.
Actually, I think it's, like Japanese culture, isn't it? Like if you're not loud while you're eating, you don't like the food.
I've never heard that before.
It's true, right? You lived in Japan for a while, yeah.
So you purposefully chew as loud as you can?
No, it's okay to...
But if you're making no noise...
Yeah.
But if you're not making any noise, like, you don't like it. Like, it's rude.
Wow. Very, very interesting. I could find that...
Like, my kids would
overwhelming.
Be giving compliments to everybody in Japan if they ate at their table.
I definitely have... ASMR.
ASMR.
Who? Amador.
Amador.
Way to go, man. Way to go. Good call.
A remote fact checker.
I love it. Well done, sir. So, yeah, my pet peeve with eating is, I don't know if you've ever seen this. I don't mind if somebody's like chomping hard on something, but it's when it's like sometimes in the back of their mouth, they make
that's like they're dying. That's that's when you have to.
It's like they're clicking like that. That sound when they swallow, they make that noise.
Do you have dinner with the Predator, or?
I guess I do. My God. But yeah, I hear that frequently, or maybe I'm super sensitive to that. But when somebody's swallowing like that,
I'm gonna make sure that I do that from now on.
I want to smack them. I can't take it.
I don't think I could even.
I can't take it.
So
that's really hard.
We actually do have one other thing for you.
Oh, what is it?
So
what is this?
This is along the lines of like trying things out, and I purposefully waited a while to get into this because
you don't want me to run away. I'm in the moment. I have to do it.
Well, you're not gonna run away. I might run away. I don't know. I had to make it.
Should I forgot to light the incense. Should I do that real quick while you get it ready?
How about I tell you about it?
Okay.
So we can capture your reaction to what we're gonna do.
Okay.
Then you can light the incense.
Okay.
And then
sorry guys, I forgot to light incense. It's part of our tradition. We have to get this going on.
We need some more sensory things going on.
Yeah, I need more
sensory
stimulants.
Stuff going on.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. We wanted. She sent me this article, not initially to do this, but I was like, you know what? We should try this. This is something that neither one of us would ever, number one, come up with. It doesn't even seem like a real thing, but apparently it's popular, like in European cultures. It's a thing.
Ooh, okay. I'm excited. I'm very excited right now.
And they eat it.
Okay.
And it's.
What if I?
Should I just say what it is?
Yeah.
What if I throw up?
It's you won't.
Okay.
It's buttered.
Okay.
Radishes.
Whoa, I love radishes.
Good.
I really like radishes.
What I was really hoping.
Like this.
So it's dipped in butter.
Okay.
And then lightly salted radishes.
I've never thought about eating it with butter. I'm not super keen on the idea of dipping it in butter, but I'm excited to try it.
Because it's not warm melted butter.
No.
It's like you dip it in there. And then you refrigerate it so that it solidifies again.
It looks like a cake pop.
And you leave the stems on so that you can hold it like a cake pop and chomp it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So all right, bring it. Bring it. Is it here? Do you have it?
Oh, we have it.
Oh my god. Okay, so while Jordan's getting that ready, I gotta tell a quick little story.
You do it.
The grossest thing I've ever eaten was
not a radish. Well, it might be a radish with a butter in a second.
I was hanging out with your brother Jared, and yes. We went to your house after a long day of playing outside, doing some stupid stuff, I'm sure. And he's like, dude, you have to try this best combination of food ever. I'm like, oh, what is it? He's like, dude, we got really good ice cream. I'm like, sweet, I love ice cream. He's like, okay. And then we got this really good ranch dressing. You got to get this vanilla ice cream, okay? And we're going to pour ranch dressing all over it, and you're going to love it. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, I like ranch dressing.
Was this a joke?
No, he was, well, I did not know. And so I'm like, I love ranch dressing.
Okay, so
and I like ice cream.
Look at these, man.
So I go to take a bite out of it. And the leaves threw up. It was terrible. It was the worst tasting thing I've ever had. And then he started busting laughing. He's like, dude, why'd you eat that? It's gross. I'm like, you asshole. Why'd you make me eat that?
Look at this.
He used his POP.
What? Oh my gosh. Guys, so we're looking
pass me a cake pop radish.
That's what they look like, isn't it?
Butter. This is like heavily laced radishes with thick
Dude, I did it
butter.
Just like I read the instructions. And
oh my gosh.
How weird is that?
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is a radish.
Hang on, I gotta get one out.
So we're gonna make some people really angry who have misophonia.
Yeah, it's true.
Get ready to live.
Amador's gonna quit listening in just a second.
Okay, so we're gonna pound down. Okay, so it's lightly salted. It looks like maybe.
Yeah, this is pink salt. They said use sea salt, but I don't have that.
Okay,
so
into the radish.
Yeah.
Boom. Oh my gosh. Okay, are we ready for this?
How big of a bite are we committing to here?
I'm gonna go at least a third to a half.
Third to a half. Okay.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Eagles on 3. 1, 2, Eagles.
Some butter fell in my lap.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure what to think.
Okay.
It's not disgusting.
Whoa. Ooh. Okay. I really like the radish.
Not so much a fan of the butter.
I'm not a huge fan of the butter. I think I could like the butter. Maybe it's just a tad too much butter for me. Tad too much butter.
I gotta be honest. This is the first time I've made this.
What country is this commonly found in?
It happened upon my Instagram feed.
Oh, did it?
I was just watching the recipe, and I was like, "This."
Do you know Joel Givens?
Yeah,
I need to.
I do.
I really want to eat the.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
hello.
He said something. He said he remembers not eating ranch, but eating vanilla ice cream. With peanut butter.
Ooh.
And marshmallows.
That's good.
That actually sounds really good.
It's a recipe for
You said,
diabetes.
what did he say?
Did
ranch dressing?
No, not ranch.
Okay. Vanilla.
Vanilla.
I was going to say ranch dressing with peanut butter.
No.
That's a bold move, sir.
I wish Jared were still with us because I would be like, dude, just tell me the truth. Did you do that just to see if he would eat
did.
it?
That's what he did. At the end, I was like, dude, why would you have me eat that? He's like, why would you eat that? That's disgusting. I'm like, you told me it was so good.
Do you know remember how he referred to that as his POP? His powers of persuasion?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he definitely had heavy POP.
I don't think I can eat the rest of this.
I can eat the rest of the
rest,
but I can't. The butter is just too much for me. Oh.
I got it.
Okay, I'm going to light the incense real quick.
That one was better. It had a lot more salt on it.
Okay, go get a match.
The salt seals the deal.
Oh my goodness. What do I do? Guys, I really like butter, but it's not that great. On here, at least.
What would you have this with? It's a weird appetizer.
I don't know.
But what other kind of food would it go with?
I think the thing that throws me off is I like cake pops. And it's like when you drink the wrong thing, your brain can't comprehend what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where
did Curtis go? He said he was going to do the incense, and then he just I'm gone. So we should talk about something else. That was the only thing you sent me. The 16-year-old thing was pretty crazy. Oh, here. I think Curtis knows about this. But something that's been big is people getting really upset about the whole popular vote thing. You know what I'm talking about? So Hillary won the popular vote, but Trump didn't.
Right.
And then there were some videos this week where they were oh my gosh, that was like a piece of salt that was still in my mouth. where he was quoted on video as saying like the popular vote needs to be how we vote and all that kind of stuff, and then he said, he's all for the electoral college vote and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, and people are like, oh, you're like swaying, and he's like, well, it's just the game, it's what you got to play, which is true. But there's a lot of people who are wanting to abolish the electoral type vote and just go to a popular vote. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well,
I'm sure Curtis does.
I've read articles.
Of course. I always have an opinion on everything. Curtis always has an opinion.
I've read articles, but I honestly cannot remember
what
my thoughts were on that because it was before I had another baby
and
stopped sleeping. But I did see some compelling things for keeping the Electoral College.
Yeah. So the main thing that what the Electoral College it's claims to prevent is just like the bigger states with bigger populations becoming the ones that decide, which is true, and that's something that it does, but that's without the complications of the last 5 to 10 years where people have been gerrymandering and they change the different electoral college areas to go, and that's really one argument that's probably the most compelling as to why Trump won. Was because that was going on. It's a legal thing to do. They just have to state that they do it. But if you go and you look at the different attorney general's sites and stuff like that, you'll find where they were moving all of that. And it's playing the game, And I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's there, and they're not breaking the rules. Mm-hmm. But I would say that I wouldn't probably go so far as to say that I'm sick of it, but I think it's time to do something that allows for more than two parties.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I'm going to stop there because I have some ideas, but I don't want to talk.
Okay. I just want to hear again real quick. So they're trying to change the...
They're just up in arms about it.
Well,
this last week there's been a lot of people saying, we want to go to popular vote.
Going to popular vote, okay. Which essentially means that your vote, it's a one for basically one vote, mm-hmm. and it doesn't matter if the state... it doesn't matter which way the state goes, it's just your individual vote for a national...
I honestly don't know if they could go that far when it comes to those type of votes. I think the states have reserved the right to be that way, because there's been a few states who have changed to a way that I was going to propose, but I won't quite yet.
Okay.
So they do reserve the right to vote.
Why
to
did
keep
they
it that way in the states?
Okay, so did you guys know why did they decide to make it? Okay, so you had mentioned the reason that they decided to make an electoral vote is so that larger states didn't overpower the rest of the country. Right? So
like if you went to a popular vote right now and you went and you looked at it, like California and New York alone would basically decide. Like if they have enough people to like sway the
Florida.
popular,
That's a big Florida and Texas too, right?
There's a couple in there, but it basically would be like 3 to 4 major cities would decide the vote.
Gosh, well, that's a really good point. Like
that is a good point.
But it also is kind of that way already, though, isn't it?
No.
I feel like the electoral votes in Oregon don't mean anything when it compares to California.
In Oregon, because we haven't because of the way that we're set up, and we don't have a lot of people outside. But if you look at it as a whole, the electoral votes that come in are conservative versus people in the city, but there's more weight to those areas. And there's some arguments at a state level, what could be done versus what could be done at a national level. But it's right now, people are still up in arms about it. And now they've called out, Trump is saying like, I think we should go to a popular vote. And then when he did it, he says the Electoral College is there for a reason. And
so Trump is opposed to...
He was, and then he wasn't. So he started out saying it should be a popular vote before he ran. Okay. Saying that's the way it should be. The Electoral College is garbage. But then when he got done, he said, I played the game. I played the game to win at the Electoral College, not a popular vote. I would have played it different if it was a popular vote.
Well, now he could.
Which is a true statement, yeah. And so he says now, he's like, well, the Electoral College does work for what it's supposed to be, which I would tend to agree with. The popular vote would have swayed things in the direction of those bigger cities and bigger populations, right? Which, there's a lot of people that don't live in those situations that would never have a voice if it was a popular vote.
Yeah,
So I have a solution that I like better, but
okay.
You keep talking about it.
Well, that is something I think that is something I think there's a little bit of concern is the voting of the masses.
Yeah.
Like the voting, unfortunately, do the masses know what's best for them? And that's something that's always a little bit in my head, kind of like.
I like how you're like a blend of totalitarianism and liberalism. Not liberalism, sorry. Libertarianism.
Yeah, I'm definitely
like those are two camps you don't usually meld together, but you tend to like walk that funny line.
I like to think about both what's going on in all those situations.
I'm just giving you a hard time, but
no, but seriously, like the idea of
you walk it well.
The masses voting. Here's what scares me: the idea of the like 16-year-olds voting, the masses voting. The masses, unfortunately, do not, in many situations, have a opinion based off of much healthy research or healthy foundational insight. And so when you have a large group of people voting,
they read a lot of Facebook headlines,
right? That's
and
so.
only
People are
going to
hate me. People are going to hate me. But this
titles.
is where kind of some of the anti-vax popularity came from.
Yeah,
is from large groups of people reading information based on Facebook posts,
right?
That were not necessarily from healthy or really well-founded articles based on research,
right?
Or if anything, like
and because that information was pumped out so fast because there wasn't any requirements on studies and stuff,
right?
And so like with Amazon, they started pulling a lot of those books,
right? Because
they got called out.
So my concern is that the masses would vote in a way that it's not based on well thought kind of opinions, but based on emotions or based on. So I'd be concerned about outside influence. That's what I'm concerned about, maybe too.
Right.
Like we always talk about, did Russia influence our elections? You know, is this something that's going to be influenced because we have?
I don't know that fear would be any different with a popular vote versus electoral college vote. I mean,
but the thing with electoral college is
there is some checks and balances.
There's checks and balances in the respect that they're elected officials, and not all the time, but most of the time, being an elected official, you have to have some intelligence. And you have to have some moral, not always, you have to have some moral ground and reason to be able to back up why. You have to be able to reference why you voted in the way you did. And so an electoral vote, you have, what's it called? You have responsibility or you have liability in a respect that like someone can look back at your history and say, you voted this way. Why did you vote this way?
Yeah.
And as a mass, you easily can hide behind a vote and you don't have responsibility for why you voted that way.
Right.
So electoral vote makes you more responsible and it makes those individuals more responsible.
What's interesting about electoral vote, at least in Oregon, and I can't speak to other states, but I know that most states that go this way, it's a person or persons that are appointed to make that vote for that area. And they look at the votes that come in for the people, and then they're supposed to, unless they see something completely wrong or there's a moral failure or something, vote with what the people did.
Right.
Which is interesting.
And the contrary risk to that is that what if that person gets bought off? Because in some states they do not have to go with the popular vote.
None of them, I don't think, do.
That's
the whole point.
There is some actually.
Oh, okay.
There is, and actually, this is what it was. I could be wrong. I think it's actually the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They have different requirements. So the Democratic Party, and I could be totally butchering this. I don't recall exactly which one.
And it's different per state, so it's really hard.
One of them have to vote with their constituents, and one of them don't. And I don't recall which one it was.
Weird.
Yeah, which is crazy. That thought, like, I could be totally wrong. I feel like it may have been the Democrats do not actually have to vote with their constituents, and the Republican Party did have to. Which is
it's a weird system. So there's two other options that I've
what do you got? Ooh,
so
yeah, I like
talking about like people being involved. Okay, so this is one I just thought of, and I don't have a link to this or anything, and I don't. It's kind of. It's a little confusing, but you actually show up. Like it's a town hall. You stand on the side of the room, and when it comes time to voting, it's like one side's Trump, one side's Hillary, and you actually walk, and they count the people, and then
somebody sees.
And then there's arguments made, and people will switch sides and do it that way until that electoral vote is decided, and at a certain time, whatever side of the line you're standing on has the most. Now again. While I like this because you have to actually go and think and be involved and actually show what you're doing,
And you can't fake a vote in that way.
You can't fake it. Well, I mean, you could show up and not be somebody that's registered, or you could sneak into the room or something.
I guess,
like
yeah.
So, but it still favors a two-party system.
Well, not necessarily. You could have a room that's a circle.
Yeah, you could.
I mean,
but it would be much more difficult to work that in. And also so this brings in another complexity is, what if in a perfect world you could say you were heavy, name whatever candidate you want,
right?
That you were heavy for
Abby Gabbard, I think is who I'm going for right now.
Andrew Yang. So say you wanted to vote for him, okay? But you were afraid that that's throwing away your vote.
Okay.
And because it's a two-party system, there's no way on earth, no one's ever done it, that's going to be that way. I want to vote to make my voice known that I am sick of the two-party system, but I also don't want to wreck things and give a vote to somebody else, whatever side is I'm giving the vote to, and do that. So either A, choose to make a stand and vote for that person and throw away your vote, which is what everyone will say you're doing. I don't think you are, but that's what people will say. Well, what if in a perfect world you could vote for him, and if he didn't win, your vote went to the person that of the two you would have picked if he couldn't win.
So you have to pick.
So say you wanted Ron Paul to win.
So you picked two.
Or say you wanted Bernie Sanders.
Wait.
Say you wanted Bernie Sanders to win.
Okay, yeah.
Okay? And you wanted to vote for him first. That's your first pick.
Yeah, yeah.
But then if he wasn't going to win, you would have picked Trump over Hillary.
Yep.
Okay? What if that system would work?
Dude, it does already.
I know.
That's taking place in...
I know. So I think it's Maine already does it. There's a couple states, but I think Maine did it last year.
A country does it.
Okay, so that's fine. But there are states. This is where the states reserve the right to vote that way.
Yes, I
so
love
like
that.
A state could do it, and that way I could rank. So basically, if there came down to 5 candidates, I would rank them 1 to 5, how I want them, and then as the system goes through and counts those votes, the people that I maybe have at the top, if they don't stand a chance of winning, that gets knocked off, and my vote goes to the next person on the list. And I think that I would love that. And because just to go to a popular vote, to me, seems very swayed. It sounds very dangerous. But if we were to go to something like this...
Which still is a popular vote.
It is a popular vote, but it's not a popular vote in the sense of
two candidates.
A two-party system. So I think that it's dangerous to do a popular vote with a 2-candidate system.
Agreed.
Less dangerous to do
multiple.
A multiple...
What do you feel about that, Sarah?
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Ranked voting?
So I believe it's Sweden does that as well.
I think you're right.
And they had quite a few candidates. I think they had like 10 or 11 candidates run that were from multiple parties. Like they were all over the spectrum as far as conservative versus more liberal parties. And they did that exact thing. Like you could pick, I think it was, I don't remember if you picked all of them in succession as far as your favorites.
Right.
I think they may have done you picked all of them in succession.
We have a comment here from...
Or your top 3.
Linda Thomas?
Oh.
Do you know? How does that... Did I pronounce that wrong? Completely.
You pronounced that wrong?
Thomas. I did it right the first time?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Well done.
She said, "What's going on?" It sounds like you talking.
Oh, yeah, it does.
I'm confused already.
With your theory or your idea?
I don't know. That's just a general question. She's probably confused why Sarah is here.
Yeah, that's probably.
Sarah's on here because we have a podcast and we've never have a woman come on here, and she was the bravest of them all and showed up first. So
one to rule them all.
Yeah. So it's for us to prove that we don't just have men guests.
We're not gender biased.
Yeah, and also that Sarah could come on and be brave.
And she's just cool and she wants to hang out.
Yeah.
So we just talk about anything and everything here, and talk about mostly trending topics. So we're talking about voting right now.
Yeah. So I really like that idea, Jordan. I think that's a great idea.
Voting?
Ranked voting, yeah.
I think it'd be fun too.
Yeah.
Okay, what are some of the possible contrary or negative aspects?
It would be confusing in the system that we use right now to count them, to tally them. And so we would need to, as we've talked about before, probably figure out an online voting system, because this would have to be done.
Online verification, yeah.
This would have to be done at like a computer level to get those things to...
Well, or we just look, how did the Scandinavian country do it? because it's worked.
Well, I'm saying like if we want, because we're a country that wants results right now, like we want to see them that night. Like,
yeah, that's true.
No hanging chads involved
exactly,
with ranking.
It's too close to call, guys. It's too close to call. We're going to keep going at this until midnight. We're going to figure out who our next president is, even though it doesn't matter at all. Like,
so a candidate. Oh no, go for it.
I was going to say it would be cool for some in that you would get to know a lot of candidates, get to know a lot of issues, or be a lot of research involved.
More perspectives.
Yeah.
Which would potentially be
good. I think so.
No, yes, but it might leave out a significant amount of voters.
But let's be real. Let's test the normal for a second.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
Wait, why would it leave out voters?
She's saying because the competency to do it is going to go up.
To know enough
know
enough information about that many people, and then enough about yourself to figure out how you would rank them.
Also, how would they decide who they would allow? How many would they allow to be on that docket? That would be another thing. Like there would have to be a limit, right? I
think right now when they do like like at least the Democratic primary is 20.
Woo.
Which is a lot.
That's a
but
lot.
That's just for a primary, though. I don't know how many the limit is for presidential.
Well, at any time, the most I've ever seen in my lifetime were 3, right?
Right, but that's because it gets to us way late. They've all been weeded out by the time you get to us, and that's one of the other problems is that some of the states go first, and that's where people they talk about battleground states. Like it's going to be one in Wisconsin, it's going to be one in the state, like because those are states. If they did it this way, they don't know. Like it's going to throw it way off because it's not a red and blue anymore. It's going to be a red, blue, orange. Like people like rainbows so much these days.
A controversial testing normal concept for me, and something that a lot of people may think is just silly. I don't like the idea of having a single president. I don't like the idea of that much responsibility being on an individual. I think it's nuts. I think it's insane that one individual has to make that many decisions that could affect hundreds of millions of people. I think it's baffling that I think it worked. How old is our country now? 200 something years ago, when we had a much smaller population, and it was the government itself was much smaller, and I think it's insane though that we have that setup. We obviously, in the way that we've had amendments to our Constitution, in the same way I think we need to have an amendment to our executive branch. And and now, as far as voting goes, it makes it difficult. Yeah. But I think that
you couldn't do them all at once.
No, you would have like every year.
That would be maybe an added benefit too. Is like right now, it's always like people are like up in the air. Like, hey, if we're like on the brink of war or something like that, and then we're swapping out presidents. True. That's a kind of testy time.
I think instead of like swapping out presidents, I think it's like you have a panel of maybe 5 people.
Yeah.
And those 5.
But I'm saying
that way there's always a tiebreaker.
That's what I was saying. Is like you stagger.
You stagger
when they rotate in and
when they rotate in. You stagger when those 5 people rotate in and out.
Might make it so less things get done, though.
A tiebreaker. Well, you always have a tiebreaker though.
True.
You always have a tiebreaker. They're required to make a decision within a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And then you have instead of they have basically like a certain period. They can't get reelected. I think like maybe a 4-year period they have staggered on the times that they get voted out, or not voted out, but they go out.
Right.
And the issue is okay, if a really critical decision needs to be made within a minute or two. Like obviously like launching nukes. It's hard to get 5 people within a minute or two to make a critical decision.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they have an iPhone app. And they all have to press the button at the same time.
Yeah. But I mean, that also like eliminates the concern that if we have this dictator, if we have this tyrannical leader, one individual person that could destroy our entire world. No, it's in the hands of 5 people.
Did you hear do you remember when we talked about the guy with the nuke codes on the inside of his ribcage so the president has to kill him?
I love that. I love that. And it has to be someone,
and
I think,
family member.
It has to be a family member, right?
Yeah.
That's even more critical. Like, yes, you have to be willing to either, or maybe not inside of their chest, the key, but like chop an arm off or something like that.
No. That the whole thing is like about death.
Yeah, that's true.
Like
if you're willing to kill millions of people,
you're going to nuke a country,
That's true.
So you want to rule Supreme Court justice style with a panel.
I do.
But except with term limits.
Yeah. They can't get to a billion years old.
Executive
and like rotting
executive
away.
panel. Right? I can't think of downside to that. I mean, other than the fact that you have maybe more difficulty every year, you have to elect someone new to get into that position. But gosh, it seems like it would eliminate a lot of the concerns that we have for a abuse of power, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But as far as if we are, I know we're not going to be able to get to that this year, but maybe like in a few years we can start to
in
get
a
to that.
few years. Yeah, we'll probably get there.
But I do have a presidential candidate that I've kind of been a little impressed by. Her name's Tulsi Gabbard. She's a Hawaiian.
She's going to win now, the amount of people that we have watching.
Listen, guys, I'm giving her a lot of props here.
Endorsement.
She's been on a couple different podcasts that I've listened to.
Yeah.
But Tulsi Gabbard.
Not this one yet.
Not this one yet. I'm trying to get her on.
Just text her.
She was in the United States Army. She fought in the Iraq War, Democratic Party, and she's been serving since 2003, I believe. But she's running. She was the first Samoan American member of the United States Congress, or Samoan American, and the first Hindu as well on the United States Congress. But she just seems really level-headed and has a pretty well-rounded approach to things. And I think somebody asked her why she's running on the Democratic Party, because There's
a lot of people that are because they have to right now.
Right. That's basically it. If you're not going to be able to compete or get votes to be able to have an impact if you vote or if you run independent,
right,
or libertarian or Green Party or whatever it is. It's just that's part of the flaw in our system. It's not a healthy way of setting things up that I see. But that was my soapbox.
Here's an interesting statistic. This year, I think it was this year, maybe this year, 2018, recent year, a record 61% of Americans now want weed to be legalized across the U.S.
61 of America?
61%, with support rising in every age group. This is interesting because just I was trying to find, it was 1997, I think it was. It was at like 6%. Like a vast difference. And in the last few years, it's gone up, even amongst conservatives. What conservatives is the lowest, it's at like 41% or something.
Okay,
like that.
Why do you think now? Why has there been the change in personal opinions? What has been the catalyst in breaking that social view or expectation as far as cannabis goes in the past 10, 20 years? Like, why now? Why not 20 years ago? Any ideas about that? Anything?
I think it's just been the amount of states that have started to allow it. And so the stigma of it, because before, when it was illegal, everyone was like, well, I have this one friend, but I won't talk about who they are.
Right.
And so people now, like, you're hard pressed to like find, like, if you start asking people and they're honest with you, you're hard pressed to be like a person that doesn't know anyone that uses it.
Right.
And doesn't know anyone that hasn't had a positive effect.
Yeah.
From
right.
it. Yeah. A benefit.
Yeah. Or negative.
Negative.
Yeah.
But
I think it's just the amount of states that social stigma has changed in enough of them that we're starting to see it kind of trickle down.
I'm kind of curious. Like, I've seen a lot of people that have really used it in healthy ways and seen a lot of benefit from it. But you got to wonder if there is a financial undertone to this, as far as like there has to be someone's financially benefiting from it.
From the marijuana or not having the marijuana?
Well,
maybe both.
Maybe both.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, so there's two. I guess that's a good point. There's
so
two
they've tracked
spectrums.
this since 1973, which is crazy. Only 16% wanted this in 1987.
16% of the population was brave enough to say that they wanted it at that time.
Yeah, 16% in 1997 and 1990. They were the lowest recorded years.
Well, wasn't that? Wait, when was? And my history as far as presidential history is terrible. But was it Reagan that pushed for the just say no? Or was that the first Bush?
I was so young then, like I don't.
The first
remember.
Bush. I know my parents are probably listening to this and
they're
just
like
freaking out. What are you talking about? You don't know your history.
Yeah. Yeah,
If anybody knows what
older,
president that was, let us know.
Interviewees over 65, it's only 42%, but of 18 to 34-year-olds, it's 70% are in favor of it now. And I think I think a lot of it just has to do with just the familiarity, like of the states doing it, and if you're near one of those states or whatever. I mean, I remember when Oregon legalized it, there were people coming in from all over that when California wasn't legal and stuff. So if you're a neighboring state and you all of a sudden legalize it, like that was like people traveled to like be a part of that. It was totally weird. Like, be like, why are you in Oregon? I'm like, oh, because you guys legalized weed. I was like, oh well.
So Linda Tomusk?
Yes.
Linda Tomusk is on point here. She said Nancy Reagan was one that just say no. So it was Reagan, but the esposa. She made a point about saying 20. You can't have 20 political parties and smoke weed. Just too confusing if you do that.
Oh, that is a good point. This was the picture on Reddit. Was Elon Musk when he did this? And did you watch this interview? Did you watch it or listen to it?
I'm pretty sure I did both because I was amazed by that interview.
So when he did this, he was like, "Well, it's legal, isn't it?" And he was like, "Yeah." And their stock dipped like 6 to 10% or something like the moment.
Right. Yeah.
And he was getting texts like, "Don't do that.
Don't do it."
And it was like just too late. Like he'd already jumped over the edge. But yeah, it's also there was like two articles that were right next to each other. It was really interesting because it's also the fastest growing industry in the U.S. right now. And
I need to buy some stock.
I believe that.
The amount of jobs that it has created is the U.S. has added 64,000, a little over 64,000 full-time legal cannabis jobs in 2018.
Really?
Wow,
that's incredible. Well, did you see that article that they're starting to get Jelly Belly infused?
Yeah, no, Jelly Belly brand.
Yeah, Jelly Belly brand, like the famous brand Jelly Bellies.
Yes,
are making CBD infused.
That was actually next on my links. So
okay, yeah, CBD infused
up there.
jelly beans, but
which is not like the idea of a Jelly Belly or a jelly bean being infused, not new, but the fact that it's Jelly Belly doing it.
And we all grew up with Jelly Bellies.
There's an 800. I did you read it? Like you have to order. They're like $2 a piece. And the minimum.
Wait! One jelly bean is.
I think so. What? And the minimum order was 800.
No.
And they're sold out.
You're right. Some vendors have been selling the beans for about $2 each.
Yeah. The minimum order from Jelly Belly was 800.
Wow.
That's a lot of jelly beans.
Okay, so if you're gonna sell those in bulk.
Hey, my sister's on here watching.
Yeah.
Hi, sister.
Which one?
Jess.
Hey, Jess.
All the way in Georgia.
Georgia.
Is the internet working there yet?
Do they have internet there?
I think so.
I don't know about that.
No, not high speed.
That sounds fishy.
They're selling AOL.
Well, they got like 5 megs, right? 5 megabytes per second, probably. Pumping out.
Yeah, something like
pumping
that.
Out someone on a bicycle pushing electricity for those megabytes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but the funny thing about CBD Jelly Bellies or Jelly Bellies. They're obviously not psychoactive, so they're not like getting any type of like effect from that other than the anti-inflammatory or maybe. But actually,
I'll take some anti-inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory is great, but also like that's actually a really smart method of approach for a kid. If you're giving it to him for like seizure control, like a kid would love a Jelly Belly. So like instead of giving that
after that they would like all of your snacks.
yeah, but that's a way easier delivery method than having them drink oil.
Oh no, I totally agree. Like it's also
that's super smart.
To me too. It's like you start putting this stuff like, imagine if they put like fentanyl in a jelly bean. Like bad idea, right? Like so it's like
that's terrifying.
Yeah, like hey, handful of jelly beans.
That's like, terrifying.
I know, but like to put medicine into candy like that, I've always been like, oh, don't make vitamins candy.
That's a good point.
Like I don't know. When it comes to those kinds of things, I'm like, there's a lot of.
That's actually really
a lot of red flags that go up. It's like, hey, do you want a Jelly Belly? Yeah, I'll have like 10, and then they're just taking a nap on your couch for the next 3 days.
We are currently screwing up my oldest daughter with Smarties that she thinks are Tylenol.
Yes.
Oh. But
they're not.
They're not.
They're for headaches.
We're trying to see if she really does have
headaches.
So you're doing like a placebo. You're doing a placebo.
Yes, we're placebo testing her.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I like it.
We were like, hey, we got some new medicine for you. And
That's
gave her a
so
big
smart.
Smartie yesterday.
That's so smart.
And she stopped crying.
Just so you know, your dad is watching now.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, Mr. Nagel.
That's crazy. The people that drop by on a Sunday afternoon. I have something super cool to show you.
Oh,
and
I'd
we
love
can
to
keep
see it.
talking about CBD stuff too. But did you see this picture of the moon that some guy took on the supermoon night? No, he took it in 8K.
Ooh,
So
I like that. Is it up?
Just for some numbers real quick, and I'm going to do them from memory for a second, and I'm going to zoom in a second.
Okay.
Whoa.
It is 33 megapixels. So that's 33 million pixels that make up the picture, which is a lot of pixels.
Yeah.
To give you an idea, the standard HD TV, so a 1080p, you see that in the store, 1080p full HD, before 4K came out, is about 2 million. So this is 33 million pixels.
Okay.
And now watch.
He just took this with his iPhone?
Yeah. Actually, an iPhone could take this, but it wouldn't be this zoomed in. So, but look at this. Like,
oh, that's cool.
Oh, there's the
that
flag.
allows. Okay, so all those megapixels allows you to zoom in.
Allows you to zoom in and see the detail on the surface of the moon.
That's really cool.
How wild is that?
That'd be actually even more impressive if we could see the flag, Sarah. You're right.
Yeah,
that would be.
Hey, there's
I don't
a
see a
guy
flag
there.
We totally didn't land there, and you can't see. You can see it on here a little bit better. Maybe the people at home can see it a little bit. No, I stopped it.
Oh,
it's
okay.
not frozen.
Oh, gotcha.
You can see a little bit the contrast a little bit better on there, but look at the edge of it.
That's so cool. That is so cool. Okay, and just for those science geeks out there, we always see the same side of the moon.
Yeah.
Like, we always see this.
Well, if we saw the other side, we see Megatron.
That's a good point. Or the green lizard people, right?
Right.
But we always see, because the moon is stuck in rotation around the Earth.
It's orbital lock. Isn't that
orbital lock, yeah, with the dark side of the moon always on, facing away from us.
Right.
Yeah, which is kind of a cool
concept. But it was supermoon the other night, and the guy took an 8K photograph of
Very
it.
cool.
And it is, I zoomed in on
what's
that thing
really
a lot.
What's really crazy is that people actually believe we actually went to that. I mean, that's.
I know those people. They're just go crazy.
I mean, I can't believe how silly people are to think that we actually landed on the moon.
Yeah, there's no way we could get out of our gravitational pull.
Well, first of all, to think that the Earth is round enough to fly off of it.
I know. Yeah.
Like, we all know, real talk, it's flat. So,
it's like, how many groups can I get riled up right now?
You're doing a really good job today.
Yeah, you really
Well done.
are. Yeah.
So, okay, actually, talking about groups and getting people riled up a little bit. Have you guys heard about Birthstrikers?
No.
I saw your title to it, and I think people have done this before.
So, Birthstrikers is a
How do you do
up and coming thing, and it's a movement among women that
another women's topic.
That
Yeah,
are
how do you
choosing.
feel about
I feel like we have a woman guest on here, so it's like this is like we should.
I'm an
it's really
expert.
Good
in
to
this
have
area.
a woman on
Yeah.
when we have woman topics, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we have many topics that include women, and we have to just talk out of our lack of experience, but that's okay.
Which is a really nice way of saying talk out our butts.
talk out our butts. Yeah.
I'm going to pretend like I know about this.
But it's a trend that women are saying we're not going to have children because we're concerned about climate change.
I thought you were going to say like they were going to be like outside birth centers striking like people do at like abortion clinics.
Ooh.
Just like throw stuff at them.
Seems.
And like, you're trying to get in the car? Try to put him in a car seat? I'm going to shove you over.
Oh my God. No, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. It's
But-
both are terrible.
But anywho, climate change.
I just gave someone a really bad idea.
That's terrible. That's terrible. But yeah, basically, it's just a group of women that are starting to make a trend, saying they're concerned about global climate change, and they're saying we're not going to bring our children to this world if we're going to be raising them in a environment where they're going to grow up and sweat to death and not have any.
Yeah.
It's that
Not
2
have any
degree,
animals
that 2 degree
and-
threshold.
Yeah. Now, this is something that I, the practical part of me thinks that's actually not a bad idea. Great. So that we have a person that creates less waste in the world, less carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, whatever, output.
Right.
And it's going to probably help us in the long run. So thanks. Great. Keep going, guys.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to have kids, that's
You offset my 4.
there's nothing. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with
Someone's got to do it.
that. And
Isn't that the China one policy. One
That-
policy.
that worked out super well for
That
them.
was a policy. They changed it.
Yes.
They
Recently
get
to
two
allow
now?
for 2, and in certain exceptional circumstances, like farmers, they allow to have more children.
Really?
Or they don't enforce the 2 children policy in certain rural villages. But yeah, I don't know if any of you are aware of this. There's a I'm trying to remember his name.
So many places.
I know. I'm trying to be careful with this. So there is.
I'm like, this is either a joke or
Where's it
Curtis
going?
is really hesitating on this one.
So there's a really good podcast, and his name's well, the reason he alludes it's called Extreme History, I think, or Hardcore History. Hardcore History.
This is the third podcast that you
I think it's Dan.
brought up in 3
Dan
weeks.
Carlson, maybe is his name.
It sounds like a name.
And he's an incredible. Let me see. Let me look it up.
I believe it. Yeah.
Hardcore.
I mean, it's not alphabetically in order, but
History. Hardcore. Dan Carlin. There it is. Dan
Carlin.
Carlin.
okay.
Also
You were
a
close.
name.
Yeah,
Hardcore
also a
History.
name.
Also a name. Great
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Not a bad name. But
Have I ever
he
told you
did-
I don't trust people that have 2 first names?
Really?
No, I
Ooh.
don't like it.
I don't mind it. I kind of feel like it's not like he's not trying to trick me. Like, okay, 2 first names, great. You know,
It's
Ricky
deceiving.
Bobby.
Anyway, sorry,
Ricky Bobby.
yeah, see?
So Dan Carlson, Hardcore History. You guys need to look him up. It's amazing historical studies that range from anything from the Roman times to Julius Caesar to
That's
Genghis
still
Khan.
Roman times.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan.
Ranges from the Roman times to Julius Caesar.
Well,
Or present day
Genghis
to
Khan
Trump.
to World War II to
From the U.S. to Washington.
Teletubbies. Anyhow, before I was made fun of a little bit too much,
It's good for you.
it's good for me.
Yeah.
He did a really in-depth study about Genghis Khan and the amount of people that he killed, and
Ooh.
the Mongolian kind of over basically a period of, I don't know, 100 years or so after Genghis Khan died, still we were kind of killing large populations of people.
Right.
But the amazing thing they talked about is they killed millions of people, basically. And the carbon footprint that they decreased by killing those millions of people today has helped the Earth decrease in temperature by the Earth would be like an extra degree or 2 degrees warmer today if those millions of people weren't killed that long ago.
I was wondering how you were jumping from a woman's issue to Genghis Khan. But
It's really easy.
way to bring that
Did you
home.
see how it
That was
connected?
amazing.
Did you see how it connected?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy though to think
You
about?
landed
And-
the plane.
And so like thinking about
Which is better than a few planes. this
it
last few
sounds
weeks.
really cruel and it sounds really terrible, but killing people back then benefited us in some respect as far as possible carbon or excess CO2 in our atmosphere. It seems like it's such a terrible thing to think it was a benefit for those people to die, but sometimes in my head I think like, man, it's better on Earth as far as atmosphere and climate, maybe, because those millions of people were dead.
Wow.
And it seems like such a cruel concept.
What is Vice? Y'all should watch Vice.
Ooh, I love Vice. What are you talking about? Wait.
Who
You're
says
just
that?
playing right now. You don't know what Vice is?
I don't.
No.
I
What? Do you have no idea what Vice is? Vice is it's kind of become a little bit too trendy.
Okay, wait. Hang on. I'm going to let you defend yourself real quick. Someone said, "Oh my goodness, that's a horrible point. Yay for wars and death. Stop while you're ahead." Like, okay, so we're not making a point for war. We're just making a point for the math that someone did.
Right.
We don't agree.
We're making a
we
point
don't
for
agree
2
with
plus
that.
2 equal 4.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, we're totally not saying that's a good thing. It's just an interesting fact.
sorry. That's my phone.
Sarah is watching YouTube
Sorry.
Live right now.
I'm watching
Or
this
Facebook
live.
Live. Yeah, it's totally fine.
So
Anyway,
no, but
just so we're really clear,
Yikes.
it was just a study that was done. We're not advocating
Well-
for that to save the planet.
no, we're not advocating for our current wars, but
No.
I am making the point that
The math has been done.
the simple fact that millions of people died back then does have a net positive impact on the current climate.
environment, but not that was a good thing or that we endorsed.
Not that it was
It's
good
just
to
a
thought. People.
Thought. It's
No.
almost a shower thought.
It's almost a
Because-
shower
It
thought.
is, yeah.
it almost-
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's good to think about those things. The fact that like
Yeah.
this is an impact. This is an effect of millions of people dying back then affected the earth today in this way.
A very tragic, horrible thing did have a positive impact on our environment, and someone measured that.
Yeah.
It's interesting,
Yeah.
but it doesn't make it a good thing.
Definitely not to those people especially.
No, yeah, like actually, exactly to them. Speaking of
Only
shower,
to them.
Speaking of shower thoughts,
Yeah.
we're at that time.
Okay,
Are
what do
we
you got?
already there?
Yeah, we're already
Isn't that
there.
crazy?
Sorry.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Here's the first one.
Ooh, I love it.
Alcohol has probably caused more births than deaths.
Oh man, I wonder. I don't know. Because I think about the amount of people that when they are under the influence of alcohol may not be able to perform to their maximum
well, yeah, that's a good point, too.
capability too. But yeah,
I know babies that have come from alcohol. I don't really know anyone who's died
From alcohol?
So if I think of my own, how many
that's a-
people I know.
That's a test.
I think
a test of one.
I've definitely seen a lot of people like with chronic disease, maybe
Oh.
not
Directly
but
from alcohol
indirectly
poisoning. Sure.
have died from
Fair.
the deterioration
Fair.
that alcohol has caused to them.
Mhm.
So indirect deaths maybe have the equal or greater number, but maybe not overall. I don't know. That's interesting. That's a really good shower thought. I like that.
Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna jump to a science one since you tend to favor those ones.
Of course.
Actually, this came from. Was it shower thoughts? Oh, it was life pro tips. Like, but it's actually this subreddit is shitty life pro tips. So
Nice.
ones that aren't good, that won't work, but are funny. Avoid red lights by driving at 4,827 miles per hour. This velocity will blue shift them enough to appear green. So you'd be traveling fast enough
hilarious.
that the light waves of the red would turn to green to you. So the light's actually green, not red. But only if you traveled at 114 million miles per hour.
Wait, what is the speed of light?
Not that fast. It's faster than that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't
Or
know.
slower than that. Anyway, so it shifts the blue light enough. I actually did double check this, and it's true.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you traveled that fast, it would, for you, not everyone else, it would blue shift
Wow.
the light enough that it would turn the red to green.
So I really like the shower thought of even if 99.9% of the world,
Dude, yes.
I really like this. Even if 99%, listen, everybody out there, if 99.9% of the world hates you, despises you, can't stand to be around you, and only 0.1% of the world liked you.
Okay, so hang on that for a second, because that's a really depressing thought for most people.
Well, but you're not letting me follow.
I know.
Okay,
but
okay.
I'm letting them sit in that depression.
Let's
for a
stew on
second.
that for a second,
Marinate
guys.
in
Yeah.
this. Marinate.
Stew on that depression.
So how many people, if that many people hated you, how many people like you?
7.7 million people really like you still.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
0.1% of the population likes you.
Because we're at 7.7 billion people
Yeah.
or something like that now.
Yeah.
And it was actually, I saw a comment earlier. It was like just like a week ago, they estimated a week or two ago, the Earth was at 7.77777777777
Yes. Yeah, that was
billion
one of the
people.
shower thoughts. Like, at some point in the last week, we hit 777777777.
That's
7
cool.
billion people. Isn't that crazy? We're almost to 8 billion people on the Earth now.
I know. It's insane.
Whew, think about that carbon footprint.
Here's another one for you.
Careful.
Yeah, careful.
Careful.
And don't get people mad. Someone's therapist does know a lot about you.
Most likely.
Most likely.
Most likely.
Someone's therapist does know a lot about you.
That's hilarious.
How weird is that to think about for a second?
That's hilarious. Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh,
I'm sure that's true.
the last one I
Yeah,
had.
last shower
we can leave on this, and then unless Sarah has something else to say. Hyphenated isn't hyphenated, but non-hyphenated is hyphenated.
Can you say that again?
Hyphenated isn't hyphenated,
Right, because it's one word.
but non-hyphenated
Ah,
is hyphenated.
Right. Yeah.
that's a good one.
Non-hyphenated is hyphenated. I like that twist.
I do too.
I like that twist.
Twist
It's good.
at the end.
Twisting the tested normal.
Yeah.
Tested normal getting twisted. There we go. Boom. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Talking
Super
to us.
fun.
The fact that you didn't know we were getting close to the end means you probably had a good time.
Yeah, I did.
And if people liked you, maybe we'll bring you back.
And I got to eat a buttered radish.
Yeah, a buttered radish.
Buttered radish.
Woo!
I'm very happy that you came up with that idea, though, Sarah. Thank you for.
We do have
helping
more
us
of them
experience
if you
that.
guys are hungry.
I definitely would like the radishes. I'm probably gonna have to wipe off a little bit of the excess butter because it's a
Yeah.
little bit too much extra for me.
I'm gonna tell you, it's not easy to get butter onto a radish. Like
I'm impressed you did
the
that.
process of doing it, not super straightforward. Like, and there's not. This might shock a lot of people out there. Not a lot of how-to videos on how to make buttered radishes. Even like, yeah.
Oof.
I think
Yeah.
this could be an expression. You could say, that really butters my radishes.
That sounds bad though.
I know. Anything you say like that.
so
I just thought I should,
Hey,
you know.
how you doing? You really buttered my radishes.
You're like,
No, it's like you had a frustrating time making them. That's like a
Oh, you
when
think
you're
as
like
a frustrating thing?
that
Oh,
really
yeah.
butters my
Oh,
radishes.
Can you imagine like someone saying, "How's your day, man? Oh, my radishes are so buttered right now."
it's okay. So like, really, like, there's a specific temperature that the butter has to be at in order that it's gonna
For it
to
to
like
stick on
coagulate.
it
to stick
and then, yeah.
to the radish. Like, otherwise it just like falls off. Like,
That's a good point.
yeah, it's
Oh gosh. So everybody out there, go try some radishes that are buttered. Give it a shot.
yeah. Check us out.
Check us out
If
on
you're listening on audio, yeah, check us out on YouTube.
YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, Twitch.
Yeah,
Whatever.
we're even on Twitch.
We're on Twitch now,
There's a couple
which we
people
don't
who-
totally understand yet, but
Yeah,
we're
we
trying
don't.
to figure it
but
out.
there's a couple people who are like, irritated when we're watching their
Comments.
Their comments, like, yeah, you know what, man, we can't watch 4 different
Platforms.
things.
We will eventually try to respond to some of that stuff. Also,
Yeah.
guys, just so you know, a little cliffhanger. We are in the process of getting set up for our next challenge. It is a financial challenge, so that'll be fun. We'll
talk about it
little
next
setup.
week.
Next week. Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll try to get that next week.
It's gonna be super fun,
Guys, we love your comments. Like us on Facebook or on YouTube. Don't like or down like us if you don't like us. Leave a comment.
go
Let us
for it.
know what you don't like. And we will be hitting you up, talking to you later. Thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, that's all.
Talk to you later,
We're
alligator.
out of here.
Peace.